Okay, it says that now we are live.
Ooh.
So, hello everybody. I'm obviously Queenie, and today I'm gonna be debating the one Robert Lester. How are you doing, Robert?
Good, thank you. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you took my challenge.
Slightly scary.
Why are you scared?
I
I'm
don't know
just
what you're
like,
going to do next.
I'm a cute little girl. You shouldn't be scared. Maybe a bit nervous, but
Well, fair enough.
don't get nervous. It's gonna be fine. So, how you been doing, by the way? 'Cause we had like only one hangout together, but you didn't really notice me, but I noticed you.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I noticed you, and I watched the previous hangout where you were flirting with Mimica.
Oh, I don't flirt with Mimica. I don't. But I might flirt with you.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
No. Well, I don't know how to start this. It's just getting a lot of noises in my room right now. Um, so, do you have any idea what's going to happen?
Not a clue.
Little Crow. Well, listen, I just wanted to debate you in certain points because I just I just heard some of the debate you were having before, and it just made me wonder a little bit because I think in certain aspects, you seem like I don't know, lost, I would say. Like you don't seem very experienced in this stuff, you know? So
Okay.
I just thought, maybe I could like be your teacher and we can discuss it and if you have any questions, you know.
What like?
Well, I mean, I just wanted to, talk about political science a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. I understand that in the UK there's like three political parties and that because of like issues with the election that they had,
Hmm.
the liberal Democrats and the conservatives made a coalition, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not a lot of people like the coalition.
Mm-hmm.
Like from what I heard, a lot of people in the UK are not happy with this. So, I mean, I think we can both agree that because this was like a horrible mistake that there was this coalition, that to save themselves like this issue in future events, I think that the queen would have to have all this power because the queen and the royal family have all this time and experience already in power. So the use of a prime minister, it's like really ridiculous.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you mean the purpose of the Prime Minister compared to that of the monarchy?
Yeah, I think like
Hmm.
it would be better to give all the power to the queen, and she would be able to do all the choices and so on, and so on and so forth with the royal family. Because at this point, it's like really ridiculous to have a prime minister. Why would you need it if you have a royal family?
Well, I suppose there are many answers to that. Probably democracy is the best thing. You can't vote for a monarch. And you do want experience, but you don't want bias. Unfortunately, even with the politicians, even those we vote in, even the good politicians, they still have bias.
Why would you need like democracy though?
Because it gives people choice, as opposed to being told what to think, what to do.
But I just think that the Queen needs to take the power away from the Parliament and everything. Like she should be the one in power in general, and make the decisions because at the end of the day, listen, I just think that there's a reason why she's the queen. There's a reason why there's like the royal family. They were chosen by God, you know. Why are you laughing? I'm being serious. So I told you not to troll and to be civil, and you told me that there was gonna be a civil debate, right?
Okay,
So you might as well stay civil.
okay. The Queen, I'm sure she's a nice enough woman in some cases, and she's a good role model in many ways, but I think power corrupts, and keeping as little power in a single person's hands as possible is probably a safe way. You have to give a bit more power, even they're controlled. So even with the politicians, with democratically elected leaders, they have a limited amount of power, and therefore it creates a greater level of safety. So power cannot be abused.
Why would you need power? Why did the people would need power? They already like listen, if that was the case, the royal family wouldn't exist, right? So I believe that you might as well give them to them because they were the chosen ones. There's a reason why they're still there, okay? And the parliament is full of old Church of England faces anyway, so.
That's true. That's true. More so with the House of Lords, which is a relatively undemocratic house as the secondary house. So.
But listen, like, don't you see like the whole thing? Like because you're saying, oh, people should have the power of choice and this and that, but they're choosing all these very corrupt politicians.
Mhm.
So you might as well have the queen that was chosen by God, and because she was chosen by God, like because the royal family is being together by God's hands, like they cannot be corrupt.
You know what? There's one thing about the idea of God and God choosing monarchies or leaders. If there is a God and he or she controls all things,
Uh
then
huh.
they would have to control people or put them into place by the effect of actually having absolute control anyway. So even if it was a bad politician or a bad king or a bad queen or even a Hitler or Stalin, they were put in place by God.
Exactly. But the thing is, you have to let God be part of your life. And that's the
Mm.
royal family. Like, since they were chosen by God and they know they were chosen by God, and
Mm.
even you guys say it, like, God save the queen, like, because of that, because you let them,
Mm-hmm.
have, this they are the chosen to rule the UK, and I think that they should be able to do that.
Well, this is the thing. There's two ideas there. It's either free will.
Sorry, that was like the washing machine.
Okay, that's all right. There's either free will, in which case there is the freedom to change, or there is God's will, in which case there is the possibility that God will allow change. So simply being ordained or supposedly ordained by a God does not mean, well, absolute power. God has a plan. Otherwise, perhaps King Solomon would have lived forever. Perhaps,
Yeah, but the
uh,
people,
perhaps Cain wouldn't have killed Abel. If we talk
the
about,
pe-
biblical truth.
the people are rebellious though, and that's why you guys keep choosing really bad politicians, because you guys are rebellious against what God wants for the UK. So if you guys would just like give the queen all the power and also give her more money from the state, because she doesn't get well paid, like not enough in my eyes. So I
Yeah,
think if she got in that control, you guys would be having so much better life.
well, this is the thing. Maybe if we have, well, a Christian ordained, uh, you know, belief in the leader, why would it be this queen? Why not the was it the Queen of the Netherlands? Is it still a Queen of the Netherlands? I don't know. or one of the other nations with their monarchy,
But the thing is that
because they're
they were chosen by God. There's a reason why they are still a royal family. Everyone that is there, they were chosen by God to
mm,
rule the UK. Like the reason why the UK is in so much like bad situations because the Queen is not in power right now. If the Queen was in power, then you would be talking about a whole different situation.
how do you know it'd be a good situation?
Well, with like I know a lot of people who like struggle, you know, having, jobs or whatever. And
Hmm.
because of this, like the thing is, it comes back to like what God has chosen for the UK. And because of God choosing her and choosing the royal family, you guys are just trying to be rebellious by saying, oh, democracy or this and that. No, just do what God tells you and the UK would be in so much better hands.
Hmm. That means how are people able to disobey God to allow democracy?
Yeah.
Now, how is that?
What do you mean, how is that?
How do we have democracy and the removal from the divine kings and queens?
Because you guys are being rebellious. Like, listen, it's so simple, okay?
Hmm.
So simple. If you allow God to be like the main thing in your life, all good things are gonna happen to you. And the bad will go away, you know? If you let that happen, that's that's gonna be the best thing. And she would make all the right decisions because she is guided by God. She was the chosen one by God to be in that position. If God didn't want her in that position, God wouldn't, have her there anymore.
You know what? I believe you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You do?
Yeah, why not?
Are you being serious? Because I'm being
Uh,
really serious right now.
well, technically speaking, you could say that there would be a benefit of the removal of democracy, but only if you're very, very lucky to have a good dictator,
This is not a matter of luck, though.
isn't it?
No, it's not a matter of luck. When you have someone that is guided by God, you don't need luck. You have all the good stuff in power. And God has always guided his people to freedom and good stuff. That's what God is. God is love. God is like good. Look,
Hmm.
God is almighty. So if you have the queen and stop being rebellious, then you will be having a lot of good stuff in the UK. You know what I'm trying to say?
Okay, let's talk about the Pope.
Uh-huh. He's a good
Does
pope.
does he communicate with God?
All the time. You
So we should
don't?
listen. We should listen to him over the Queen.
Maybe. The
Maybe.
thing is, here's the thing, okay? There should be like rulers for every country, but the Pope should be the main focus because the Pope is the one to, give all the doctrine and everything, like, because he has a more direct connection with God, right? So, like, he's like, I don't know how to say it in English, but, because I'm Mexican, but, like he's the one in charge of that, but like the UK, for example, would have the Queen to lead them on into the path of good because God is with her as well,
Is the Anglican Church and the Roman Catholic Church the same?
I don't know, you tell me, define the same.
Do they have the same doctrine core beliefs in regard to their styles of Christianity?
Can you word the question a different way? Because I'm not understanding you. I don't know if it's your accent is so thick or what.
Okay. Um,
Just like
basically,
do it slower.
okay. Are the ideas within those two Christian beliefs the same?
No,
No?
no, they're not.
What church is the Queen in charge of? Or should I say the
God,
figurehead of? What church is she the figurehead of?
God.
God.
Hmm?
The Queen is the figurehead of God.
You need to understand something, okay? We have
Okay.
churches here. Why are you laughing? I'm being very serious right now. Are
Okay,
you
carry
taking
on.
this seriously?
Oh,
Because
very
I don't think,
seriously.
I'm sorry, but I don't think I have disrespected you like that.
Okay, I apologise.
Have I? I don't think so. Because I think it's really rude that you start laughing whenever I do a point. Are you done, or can I continue?
Oh, you can continue. Sorry, I didn't realise that you were waiting for me to continue.
Okay. Well, listen. I think that beyond the churches of whatever territorial thing could be, that there's a special connection when you leave everything and you follow God, because then God will give you the truth beyond of anything anyone could be saying, you know, that God is gonna leave you and lead you the way. Are you still laughing?
No,
Are you racist or something? Like because I'm Mexican? Because like you're treating me really bad. I don't think you have treated these like other people bad like me. Are you being racist?
no, no, not at the moment. I might save it for later.
Seriously?
No, not seriously.
Because I'm being serious right now. I don't know why you keep it like a joke.
No, it's
I don't know
fine.
how.
I'm listening to it. I'm thinking very hard.
And you keep laughing every time I talk.
No, not never. That's me breathing. I'm a bit close to the microphone, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the thing. When you are close to God, God will lead you, and so has the royal family.
Hmm. Fair enough.
Hmm.
Well, it must be true.
What you said?
It must be true.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
It's the only logical conclusion after all.
It is. Yeah.
Hmm. And all the evidence is there.
Exactly.
And in fact, in that case, I think I'll cease to be an atheist because, obviously being an atheist or agnostic is a little bit silly in the end, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're quite right. But,
I mean, I believe in God. I have believed in God all my life.
hmm.
So, I mean, you know, the, I mean, I have like a special connection with God. Like, I want to be a nun someday. Like, I want to marry, God and be at His service all the time because, like, there's so many benefits from that. Like, you help humanity by that, like praying all the time and so on. Like, I just think like it's a very nice spiritual, behavior. So, I mean,
Yeah. See, that would cure all the problems in the Middle East right there. If they listen
yeah,
to the Pope and God.
yeah. I mean, the thing is though that the problem is that there's a lot of like atheists and agnostics, as you already said, that it's like really silly that they exist because the proof is there that God is, you know, existing, and they're just rebellious, you know, as the UK is rebellious. Like that's just the way it is. So, I mean, if people stop rebelling so much and started praying and started being with God, these issues in the world wouldn't really exist because we would be one world united under God and everyone would be fair with each other.
Even the Scientologists
Mhm.
and the Mormons
Mhm.
and the Moonies
Mhm.
and all them guys, all those peoples. It's a nice thought, isn't it? Imagine world peace.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, it
Mm.
would exist, but people tend to be rebellious and go against what God wants them to do, like UK and democracy and shit like that.
Hmm. You make a very good point.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm. More than just good looks.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you consider me pretty.
Yep, considering the picture you've got as your little doodah, I think it's a little bit difficult not to. So yeah. And when you say the Queen, do you mean Queeny?
I mean,
Do you mean the
listen,
proper Queen?
I think that I think God has a plan for me, you know, and at some point everything is gonna reveal itself. Like I haven't figured out how am I gonna be a leader for my own country, but you know, like I feel like at some point everything's gonna be clear to me, you know. So I mean, I'm still young, so I just gotta keep my path with God and let Him show me the way, you know.
Hmm.
And I think you should also let Him into your life and show
Reckon
you the
you can
way.
count
Because
on that?
listen, you are. I saw some of your videos, and like I saw, you know, I saw you, and I think you're a very, you know, good-looking, smart guy. And you know, I just think that the only thing you're missing in your life is to be, you know, close to God. Like if you were close to God, all these questionings or all these troubles that you have, they would just disappear. You would know the truth. You would see the light of it, you know?
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, fair enough. Where can I sign up?
You don't sign up, you just like start believing in God, you
You
know?
mean I don't have to pay a membership fee?
No.
Oh, it's cheaper than I thought then.
Yeah, you know, God is for the people who want to follow him.
Hmm.
That's what it is.
What about
Yeah.
Islam?
What?
What about Islam?
I believe that a lot of Islamic people are probably gonna end up going to hell.
Oh.
You know, like all
Well,
the
they'll be used to the
women,
warm weather.
you know, like all the, you know, there's a reason why the Islamic people always have issues, okay? And that's the thing, like they just rather have their own belief and go against God and so on, and they will end up being in a bad place, just like girls that end up aborting babies, just like all these people that continuously rebel against what God wants them to do. Like at some point, you know, I feel bad for them, you know, to be honest. It's a touchy topic for me, but I just feel like, you know, there's always a way to change, right? Like for you, you can change your ways right now and make like videos about, you know, now I believe in God and now I understand that God is the truth and that I should follow God. And then God will be like, you know what? Like, we're cool. Like, you can come to heaven anytime. Like,
Yeah,
I'll be waiting for you.
because God is omnipresent, therefore He watches YouTube.
Yeah, he does. He subscribed to my channel.
Hmm? Well, he's got to have a channel, himself. I don't imagine he uploads much because a lot of people do the same work as him, but he watches a lot, I imagine.
Yeah, he
Hmm.
watches, you know.
Hmm. It's a nice thought.
I mean, it's because God watches everything you do and everything that's in your heart. You know, like, I'm joking about the channel, obviously. But you know what I'm trying to say. Like, he watches everything that you do.
Yeah. And he doesn't need to share your link on Twitter, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
He knows, you know. He knows
Maybe
what
on
you're
maybe on
doing.
Facebook because.
He knows what you're doing. He knows what's in your heart. He knows your intentions. You know, and if you're with God, you want God to lead you, like, that's how it's gonna be.
Hmm. Well, that's fair.
Hmm.
What else can I say? I know. I'll call up the Queen right now and get her to take over the British government.
I mean, I don't know if you can do that. I don't think that's possible. But what you could
She's
do
wearing a
is,
crown.
what you could do is, you know, just start, talking about it, because you have a public platform, and I mean, your channel is not as big as mine, but you do have
You're
a
quite big, but
public.
I'm quite big when I'm excited. That's all I'm saying.
Do I make you excited?
Well, maybe a little. Yeah.
A little?
Well, when I say a little, I am actually talking about proportions. Sorry.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
God cursed me in one way, but never mind.
Okay, now I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It's like a very small pickled gherkin.
But you should love what God gave you, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I do regularly. That's why they invented the internet, isn't it? God inspires all.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So you believe in God now?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Really?
Well, I get that little rush when I drink coffee at Starbucks. It's got to be something. That's all I'm saying. You know?
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
certainly a religious experience.
I just, are you taking me seriously or not?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Why wouldn't I take you seriously?
Because I notice your sarcasm right now.
No.
Because
See, I don't even
told
know what
you,
that word means. So,
I told you that I'm being serious here, and I don't know why you're trying to troll me. Like, that's how you're gonna act.
sorry, I don't know what any of those words mean. But the thing is, though, I mean, any experience which we cannot explain obviously has the ultimate conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Could that be God?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I don't believe there's coincidences. Sorry, it's because my English is really bad sometimes.
that's okay. That's okay.
But I don't believe there's such thing as a coincidence. But I do believe that, God, whenever as I was telling you, whenever you let Him to lead you on in the path of life and in the truth and everything, He will, start giving you enlightenment, and therefore all the pieces will come together, right?
Hmm.
And it makes what happens, the possibilities and everything.
That's good.
Hmm.
Hmm. This is a lot to think about.
Yeah. I mean, I know that you're an atheist and you have been an atheist for some time, I'm guessing.
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes it's tough to make like the transition, but know that this is something that has been in you all along. Like God never leaves you alone, but you're the one rejecting God, and people are the one rejecting God, and that's why, you know, this stuff happened. So,
Oh, there we are. It all makes perfect sense.
yeah.
Hmm.
Why do I feel you're still being sarcastic?
Um, that's a very good question.
Are you being sarcastic?
I think I am, yes.
Why?
Because I can't really think of any good reason even to believe in a god.
So you've been lying all along to me? I've been like opening up to you and you just like, you
Yeah,
know.
I'm doing the classic man thing. I'm lying to a beautiful woman.
No, that's really rude to do, by the way. That's really rude. Because I've been very serious, and as I tell you, I think I've treated you with respect.
Yeah, I think you have.
But you haven't to me.
Well, that's true.
Are you gonna continue this, or like, are you gonna continue treating me like shit?
I'm not treating you like shit.
You are, because you're being rude. Like, I've been trying to tell you things seriously. I've been treating you very well, and you treat me like shit.
Mm. Do you
I'm
know
being
that?
serious.
Do you know that profanity is in fact banned by the Bible? You know, you're not meant to speak in a profane way.
Uh-huh. But I'm not the one being rude. You're the one being rude.
You use the S word.
And?
Ah.
And? You're the
Well,
one being like complete shit to me.
yes, yes. Oh, hang on. I'm just going to mute you for a minute.
Can you guys see how horrible he's being right now? Like, I've been treating him so nicely up until this point because the guy cannot have a serious argument at all. Like, he'd rather play games and be sarcastic and try to be funny instead of bringing up good points because he's not able to do that. That's what you do when you're born in sin. Like, when you born in sin and you don't accept
I
that,
wasn't born
and
insane. I was born
you
in England.
in sin, and like
Oh, in
whenever
sin.
you do that, whenever you are like that and you continue that path, you know that's that's why you are being so rude to, especially to a woman. That I've been treating you good, and I told you since the start this was going to be a serious debate, and you're not being serious.
Okay, then. I apologise. I will be entirely honest and serious for the rest of this hangout. Upon my honour, my dear.
So what were you saying
So,
before you
I don't know
went
what
to
to
the
talk
phone?
about. Sorry, I got interrupted by some people trying to sell me a cheap telephone thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Mhm. Mhm. So you're still an atheist then?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Then explain your points.
Um, I personally do
Mhm.
not see any evidence for God.
You don't
Feel free
see.
to convert me.
Well, what do you believe in then?
Um, I have some relative beliefs in terms of tangibility, in terms of
Explain.
the okay, in terms of the nature of the world around us,
Mm-hmm.
in the scale of things, with all possibility, it could all be a delusion. It could all be false.
Mm-hmm.
Even the things that I think are true could be possibly wrong.
Mm-hmm. Like for example?
Well, you're familiar, of course, with the French philosopher. I think he was French, wasn't he? Descartes, the philosopher
No.
Descartes. Okay. His famous quote, I won't say it in French or Latin or whatever, but I'll say in English. I
Uh-huh.
think, therefore I am. So if you
Okay.
think, you know you exist because you have thought. So at least tangibly speaking, you probably exist, although some philosophers take it even further, and that could be a delusion. But anything else could be simply a question of you believing things to be there. It could all be a hallucination. Everything around you.
So having a conscious list makes you delusional.
Well, you have to have a consciousness in order to be delusional. The
Uh-huh.
other, the other way around just doesn't work.
So like, but where do you think this all comes from? Like your consciousness, where do you think your brain comes from?
Well, that's the question. If we talk about physical possibilities of creating consciousness, that's one thing. And that could be a delusion in and of itself. The best we can
Okay.
do is work by what we can examine, and that could still be entirely false.
Give me a second.
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna mute you. Give me a second.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry I
Okay.
kept you waiting. So, what were you saying again?
You know what? I
Yes.
think I was saying something along the lines of, ooh, we can't be sure about reality, but we can be sure within the construct of reality was the point I was going to make.
But what do you think, this old train of thought comes from?
Which one?
All of it. Like we can have questionings about what's real, what's not, what is this, what's that, what
Hmm.
color is it? But where do you think the like capability of doing it, of having these thoughts comes from?
Good question. I don't know
Exactly.
exactly what.
it comes from a bigger being that creates us and gives us the power of a consciousness, of a train of thought, you
How do you
know?
know?
I know because the universe itself tell us about that.
Where?
Where? Everywhere. Like wherever you look in the universe, you can look like anything that happens comes from somewhere. And every complex situation comes from something simpler. So,
So
I
why is
mean,
there a God?
it's because there has to be like a creation thing where everything starts and the pieces are put together.
Why does that need a God?
Excuse me?
Why does that need a God? For things to come together?
Well, what else could it be? Do you know?
Well, I don't claim to know as such, and I think anyone else who claims to know can't be sure they know, except through the method of faith. So how do you know? Would be an equally as valid question.
Yeah, but I do know, and I already explained it to you. If you see the universe and all the complexity of it, in the sense that the secondary things that are created, like for example, a computer, right? Who created a computer? A computer is a complex thing,
Yeah.
right? So it comes from a human.
Probably a 15-year-old Chinese person in the factory producing 1,000 a day or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, but it
something like
comes
that.
from somewhere, right?
Yeah. But you know the problem with that?
What?
What are you comparing the universe to? Because to compare a computer to the creator of the computer,
Nah.
you can actually examine how they put it together, the components thereof, the nature of the artificial construction of a computer. You can study that. You can even go to the factory if you had enough, if you had the time and money to go over to China and go and see the exact person who perhaps made your computer. But what are you comparing the universe to?
Rob, with everything that you just told me right now, I think it's
Hmm.
pretty clear that, to me at least, that God is just talking to you, Rob, and you're just not letting Him in. What's stopping you from letting God in? Like, are you upset at God? Have you had like difficult times in your life?
Usually when I'm in religion, and usually where I've sought comfort within religion afterwards.
What about that?
What about it?
What do you mean, what about it? I just asked you a question, like you find comfort in religion, blah blah blah. So,
Have done in the past,
uh-huh.
but it didn't actually help me to deal with anything. Not really.
Well, I
Believing
just
that
think
it's all
that,
part of a plan when really we don't know.
but that's the thing. Like you're having all these questionings, Rob, because you don't accept God in your life. Like you don't fully accept it. You're just using it for a purpose or a benefit, as far as oh, feeling comfort or whatever else the situation could have
Hmm.
been. And instead of fully letting God in and have all this amazing understanding, because you're a very smart guy already. You have some deep questions as well, and I feel all these questions would have been answered to you already if you just seriously fully accepted the power of God in your life. You understand what I'm trying to say?
I do, but then how can you divide any belief from any other? What makes Christianity, in whichever form, better than one of the Mormon faiths? Because there are several branches of Mormonism.
But it goes back to what I told you before. You remember?
What was that?
I told you that regardless of the church that you go or whatever, God stays being one. God stays being just one,
Is
right?
God okay? Here's a few questions about God. Is God an almighty God?
Yeah.
Is he an all-knowing God?
Yes.
Does he have a physical body?
No.
Okay, Mormonism does have a God with a physical body.
Good for them.
He lives on Kolob, according to Joseph Smith.
Uh-huh.
So Mormonism won't get you into heaven.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, what about it? I don't understand how it contradicts my statement.
So it's not about simply believing in God.
It is.
But which God?
God. God stays the same. Regardless if you believe of it having like a body or not, or being purple or white, or black or Asian, or whatever color you want to put it in, right?
Hmm.
God can represent itself the way he wants to people to get the message across. And it could be in plenty of ways, and we've seen it through history with all the saints that have, been exposed to these different shapes of God, you know,
Why does God appear in different forms?
because everyone is different and everyone takes things differently. So, in order for God to help you process all these things, it changes, you know, depending the need of the person, you know?
Does that mean we shouldn't follow any doctrine too much? Because the doctrines are tailored towards the person, not the divine message.
Wait, what did you say again?
Basically, I'm saying that if God comes and makes itself appear in a certain way to different people, we shouldn't
Hmm.
take the doctrine of those individuals as being automatically truer than any other doctrine. So say there's a difference between, say, Abrahamic and Mosaic laws, for example.
That's what I said in the beginning,
And there's a,
but you weren't
and
listening.
there's
You
a difference
were.
between that and the New Testament kind of view as well. But also, you could say the same for the Prophet Muhammad, or for Adam, or for any number of other people. And therefore, there's no reason to take any of them as being superior. They just simply follow the same Abrahamic tradition, and they're different aspects. They're like different facets to the same gemstone.
But that's what I told you in the beginning. But you were too busy being sarcastic, so you didn't listen to what I was saying.
Okay, if that's true, then
It is
why?
true. You admitted yourself that you were being sarcastic, and you weren't taking me seriously.
That's very easily done, though, isn't it?
What?
Not taking it seriously.
Why? I'm being serious. Why wouldn't you take me seriously?
Because if you ever use a condom, according to the Catholic Church, mainstream Catholic Church, you're condemned to hell unless
Uh
God
huh.
forgives you.
Uh huh.
And yet, around about 80% of Catholics have used a condom at one point or another in their life. So they're kind of hoping that God will forgive them through confession.
Uh huh.
Whereas other churches, any number of different churches, like 35,000 different branches of Christianity, more, most of them would completely disagree, both
Uh
with the
huh.
idea of condoms. They would say it's fine, perhaps. And also they would say confession is a sin. So there's contradiction. So when there's specifics, how can we work out who's right? Because specific ideas is where you drive away from the more spiritualist view of a religious unity.
Here's the thing. All the type of questions that you just asked are really valid, and I understand them completely. Okay?
Okay.
But the thing is here, and what I said in the beginning, is that when you let God lead your life, God will tell you the answers. And a lot of people stay with this, doctrine and so on. All these rules sometimes are good and well intentioned,
Hmm.
okay? But the thing is, some of them are like, driven by a personal benefit most of the times. Like, for example, bringing back again, like the UK one in democracy, right? Like, if you guys
Okay.
get democracy, you get corrupted politicians. So, again, like, it goes to their benefit. And when you let God in your life, and you're like, okay, God, teach me the way, I believe in you, and you start a spiritual process, then you get all these answers and stuff. When I should wear a condom, or when should I, or with who I should I have sex? When is the right time to do this or that? When you have that, all those answers are questionable. So it's all about like a process of healing spiritually, because sometimes all these rules are made by souls that are really hurt and broken, because when you don't have God, your soul weakens, and it's like a weak soul, right? So you gotta let God do his job. If you continue like going against it, you won't have the answers to these questions, and you will have all the disasters that any other religion have done through the years, because keeping it real, they have, right? But all these things is because they fall apart from God to look for a personal benefit and use his name in vain. So when you let God heal your soul, you will know when it's right or when it's wrong to do whatever you want to do in your life, bro.
Uh-huh. Well, here's a point. Every year, around about
Hmm.
9 million children die under the age of 5.
Uh-huh.
In fact, I think it's younger than that, but let's say 5. God has a bit of an interesting plan going, and the
Hmm.
parents of those children, they cry when a child
Yeah.
dies. But do you think they should really be celebrating because, they should say to their neighbour, "Oh, I told you how wonderful my kid was, because God thought he was cute too, and thought I'd take him to heaven a bit early." I mean,
Yeah.
so we should be praising cot death.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Any death,
does that
any,
mean we should, well, also with abortion as well? I mean, you know, God wouldn't hold it against the child, would he?
I guess the child, absolutely not. The thing is, though, that death is a transition. It's a transition between the earthly life and heaven or hell, whatever it could be your choice.
You believe in
So
hell?
the person who dies, right,
Hmm.
he is, taken to a better place, most of it heaven, right?
Mm.
And the abortion, for example, situation, it's not the baby's fault, it's the mother's fault. If the mother decided to abort, that's not the children's decision. So therefore, the children is not held, you know, accountable for whatever the choice the mother has. But the mother is for her own choices, because she killed a life. When you kill a life, that's wrong. That's a sin. It's not your place to say who dies and who lives.
Mm. Does that mean the Jainists are near the truth?
Excuse me a second.
Okay.
Okay, what did you say?
You know Jainists? The religion of
No.
Jain? Well, basically, the belief that they have, it contains many details, you can Google it, but they will very often wear a veil. Not in the sort of Muslim sense of wearing the veil, but to
Mhm.
prevent flies from entering their mouth, for example, because
Mhm.
they hold life to be precious.
Mhm.
Would they be more holy than you?
No.
I wonder how many flies you've accidentally ingested, perhaps without knowing, or stomach.
Ew, you're gross.
Yeah, I know I am. It's the way you like it, but yeah. Um, with let's say with a
Robert,
person.
listen,
Go on.
just calm down. You're flirting a little bit, you know.
Okay.
I know you like me and that. Well, listen, I just think I'm sorry if I'm getting a little bit personal, but you brought it up. So I just think that you have this attraction for me because, you know, it's God that is putting you there.
Yeah, God is definitely the sexiest thing on YouTube.
It is, but listen, it's not that. It's about,
Mm.
you understand I'm talking about a bigger force that loves you and cares for you, right? And you understand that, but you deny it because
Yeah.
your mind is troubled right now.
You know the thing though, if
What?
God is always watching you, always looking after you, always caring for you,
Hmm.
and in many ways trying to keep you as a good person, they're
Hmm.
acting as a parent, aren't they?
Somehow, but the thing
Yeah.
is that God is not like a parent.
Isn't he?
No, because I mean, for us in human level, I understand the comparison. But it's more than that because a parent cannot lead you throughout your whole life, right?
So a better description is an all-seeing eye,
Mhm.
and therefore whatever you do, and for that matter, whatever you think,
Mhm.
is observed, is recognized by this almighty force.
Yes.
How could you possibly develop if you believe in that? You
What do
know,
you mean by that?
how could you move forward intellectually, philosophically, if you believed absolutely that that's the case, where your destiny is toyed with
Well,
by a big brother character?
it's not necessarily that like defined growth. I believe that the growing experience comes from letting yourself lead by God. Whenever you're led by God, whenever you follow what He tells you and let Him heal your soul,
Hmm.
then you start growing spiritually and mentally as well, because you start knowing the truth. But when you don't, you start, divagating in all these like thoughts that are really not making you grow, but absorbing you and making you something that you're not.
So, could you explain that again?
Like what wasn't clear.
So, as you become more spiritual, you become more one with God, would you say?
Not like one with God. You can never be God.
Okay, you become
Closer.
more closer to God. Okay, closer to God.
It's a
So,
grow. It's because you were talking about like growing intellectually and so on. And I was
mm,
telling you, when you're closer to God, you grow intellectually because when you're not, you get absorbed by all these thoughts. For example, the ones that you're having, you're absorbed by them in a way. You know.
so simply from a neutral perspective,
Mhm.
what makes God's thought patterns or the ideas you integrate into yourself superior to others? What makes the godly path better if we assume there's one God path and one intellectual path, which is a different kind of intellect? What makes the godly one the best one?
There's no such thing as both paths. I believe that whenever you are closer to God, your mind expands. And it gives you like intellect and it gives you like mental growth, emotional stability, and all this stuff. So as you get closer to God, you start having all these benefits. And therefore, you know, you know the truth. You know what I'm trying to say?
No, I don't really, but
What exactly is your doubt in it?
the validity of the idea of it being true. How do we know it's actually true?
Because God gives you that truth.
Which
That
God?
listen, that's the thing. Like you find it hard to believe because you yourself are an atheist, right? And you already admitted you're an atheist. So whenever I talk to you like as a truth or stuff like that, you won't be able to understand it fully because you have been already absorbed by all these negative thoughts or like vague thoughts that you have in your mind. If you didn't have that and you would have followed God, you would be understanding what
Okay.
God, what spiritual growth, what intellectual growth. You know what I'm trying to say
Uh,
now?
I do, and you're wrong.
How am I wrong?
You don't define spiritual growth clearly.
Uh
You
huh.
don't seem to know what it is. You don't seem to understand the difference between sects and the variations thereof. Not every version of Christianity or every religion believe in hell. Heaven differs. Some people don't believe in heaven, but they believe in a God. Some people believe in reincarnation, but no heaven or God. So there are so many differences. In fact, really, it just doesn't stand up at all, other than as a nice story.
Mhm.
Shall I go on?
Listen, I understand your point,
Hmm.
Robert, and I just want to say really quickly that I'm very happy that you stayed in this call for already an hour. Like most of it, you were being sarcastic and rude, but eventually, I think you opened up a little bit of your mind, not fully, but a little bit, to listen to the word of God. And I just want to say something quickly
Go on.
because a lot of people, not a lot of people, but we have people in the live stream watching this. And I want to say to everyone that you should all go to Robert's channel right now. What's your channel name again?
Robert W. Lester. You can go.
Robert W. Lester.
Yeah.
That's your username.
Hmm.
And you should all subscribe to him right now because the guy has been such a good sport because he has been pranked so hard.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that I'm an atheist.
Hmm.
And he has been patient all along and he has been playing along, so congrats to you. Robert. I was scared because like I told people like Phoenix for example, and I told him I'm gonna prank this guy,
Yeah.
and and he's like, that's so mean. But I got scared because in the morning you liked one of my main channel videos. And I said, fuck, he already knows that I'm an atheist because I have videos about atheism there.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck, he already knows. But, you were like sarcastic at first, but I think you took me
Yeah.
seriously after a while. Oh, that was so much fun.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for that. Playing devil's advocate.
That was so much fun because at the end you were, really serious. You
Yeah.
were. I noticed in your breath that you were getting really like annoyed by what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna end the broadcast now that I've pranked you. But thank you so much for being such a great sport in this. And thank you everyone for watching this live broadcast. And now you can do a hangout, you guys, and we can talk about this nonsense stuff that I just started saying in this call. Because I was telling Phoenix in the chat, like in another chat on Skype, I was like, I'm so tired of saying all this type of bullshit because I don't believe it myself.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
It was so good. But thank you for being such a good sport in this. And thank you all for watching. I'll see you all later.